Hello everyone, welcome to the stream. I am Phreak. I'm here with two wonderful gentlemen. I forget, no, you're Wrekz and you're Meddler, that's right. I know your real name more than your alias, so I had to put two and two together briefly by looking at the lower thirds. So we're here about Runes Reforged, as well as the rest of the 2018 preseason updates, going live November 8th, on PvE soon, I assume. So talk to me first things about who you are and why we're doing this.
Yeah, my name is Jordan, or Wrekz. I've been a designer on Runes Reforged since we started working on it a long time ago. And yeah, basically help build most of the content that you guys are seeing now. The team has done a really great job putting together the, like 60 runes that are coming out, 59 that we have to talk about today. And yeah.
Hi, I'm Andre, also known as Meddler, the lead gameplay designer on LoL. And recently I've been putting a lot of time in working with the systems team, which Wrekz here is on this rune stuff.
So what is the point of Runes Reforged? What, give me like top 5 reasons why Runes Reforged is a thing.
So the biggest one is basically just opening up the pregame system to let people make some really interesting choices. We felt like the pages that you came out of Runes and Masteries with felt really similar a lot of the time, and there weren't good decisions that weren't just like, hey, this is the new optimal stat because some gold values changed. And we wanted to really like open it up again and broaden the number of possibilities that you can come out with from making pregame decisions, and then also just like increasing the number of build options for different characters, increasing the amount you interact with the choices that you take. Yeah.
A lot of that was making it so that your particular playstyle hopefully matters a lot more in Runes.
Mm-hmm.
Picking things that gel with how aggressively you want to play the laning phase, or how much you like active items, or whatever it be, rather than just as many stat effects as current Runes and Masteries does.
Yeah, it actually seems pretty good. I was actually tooling around. If you don't know, there's on LeagueLegends.com, there's a tool you can actually go through all the rune pages, and I was like, I want to make an Azir rune page because like he seems to have a lot of hooks. And what's funny is because there's like an Azir mini rework coming out in 7.19. I actually saw like the playtester's report where it's like, here's the new rune page we would use on him. And I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. And then I made my own. It was like 2 entirely different trees. So I was like, great, we are using 4 different trees with possible Azir runes. Maybe I'm wrong, but it was like, these all made sense where I was getting a bunch of attack speed through precision. And they were like, oh, you should get Comet and sorcery and all this other stuff. And I was like, okay, well, there's a bunch of stuff up in the air. And so I think yeah, there's definitely a lot of like, very different choices. Like I'm lane dominant, so I'm gonna knock down turrets quickly, or I'll just get bonus health, or I'll go for bonus attack speed. I think those are gonna be really interesting.
Yeah. That's the sort of stuff we're really excited to get out of the system, and really interested to see once players get their hands on it, what combinations they use, and what proves really effective.
Yeah.
I'm also sure we'll need to do a bunch of follow-up tuning and balancing, of course, because there'll be something that's not quite as intended, or just a bit too dominant. But
maybe like release Thunderlords, just 9 out of 10 players running Thunderlords.
There'll be something.
There'll almost definitely be something, yeah. Also, for you guys, we do have a game that was, it's pre-recorded, that our playtesters ran like last week or something, like late last week, so we'll run through that. We have all the rune pages on our sheets right here, so we'll run down what they were running. We'll have them up on screen as well, so we'll go down what, some like Diamond 3 plus players are running for their pages as well, and hopefully that's enjoyable for all of you. So anything, tell me about sort of like, I guess as we'll get ourselves into the game pretty soon whenever we're ready for that one. Tell me about some of the interesting things that like either tried and didn't work, or things that you're like pleasantly surprised by while like coming up with new runes and stuff.
Okay. So probably the rune that was like most exciting during development that ended up not working is a rune called Reap, which was if you do any damage to people when they're below 15% health, they die.
That seems really good.
It was really good. It was really polarizing. There was a lot of shouting going on when it was in playtests, like a lot of shouting, and that was good and bad. Eventually that one ended up going away, and it kind of like very slowly over a ton of iterations, sort of became the inspiration for the rune that ended up being Predator. Which is probably one of my favorite runes in the system now. It turns your boots into an active item. It's a domination keystone. You can activate your boots to gain this huge burst of movement speed for like 15 seconds, and then you can just roam really, really well. It's a super long cooldown, but it's this really powerful high moment where you can charge across the map, you can find somebody, your first attack does a bunch of bonus damage to them, and it lets you have this really long like window of power, this hugely important cooldown for making these big roam plays.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Predator as well. Reap had some really good stuff going for it. You know, it changed how you played when you had it. It changed how everybody else played. And those are both things we want from a Keystone, especially. But at the same time, the way it changed wasn't often all that great. It basically meant, hey, if you're ever around 15%, just leave the fight.
Just
You know, treat that as your new zero. You're just gonna die.
Yeah, my first thought was that sounds like pretty bad gameplay.
Yeah, and we got some great satisfaction, normally from the Reap user.
Sure.
Yeah.
And we did get some play around it. Cool, I'm just going to suicide in and know that I'll be dead in a couple of seconds and get some stuff done. But even then, it just drowned out a lot of what we wanted in the game.
Yeah, that's fair. Actually, that brings up sort of a different question, which is what... I'm phrasing it in my mind. You said, hey, you want players to have to make choices. I've seen comments as well, but I just want my scaling health runes, my CDR. I don't have to think about the stuff that I do. I just want my game to function. And it seems like there's a pretty good mix of this only works if you try to do things, which is the domination keystone. The boots active used to be Blood Moon's Call. I used to want the real name and I forgot it already.
Predator.
Yeah, Predator. Or ones where it's just you gain stats in the river, where it's you don't have to do much to make it work.
Yeah, we want to serve both of those audiences. The people that want to be really focused on the pre-game and thinking a lot about how to optimize their runes moment to moment, especially while in lane, or the players who want to be much more about their champion. Want to pick a bunch of stuff that'll support what they're already doing, give them some useful stats, but not demand constant attention on all these little things.
Yeah.
So, depending on what you're after, hopefully we've got the right blend.
And what's cool is I remember you were telling me about last week when we were setting up for this whole thing, there's one of the playtesters actually goes for the get bonus stats in the river one, which you think it's oh, super low mind share, if I roam, I guess it's good, but he just he hugs the side of his lane, so when he's ganked, he just gets free boots on the way out. So he just runs through the river to escape gank path, and it's well, yeah, when you have 25 more move speed, you tend to dodge most ganks. So
yeah, it's been really cool seeing how a number of even the more statty, more you don't have to optimize it that much runes get used in really unique ways by some of the playtesters. Whether it's they take Perseverance in the Resolve tree, and then that gives you bonus armor and MR for each summoner that's on cooldown, and people use that and combine it with an aggressive primary page to make these really all-in plays very early, and then sort of ride that defensive benefit, whether it pays off or not.
That's cool. All right, so we do have a game to show up if we're ready for that. I'm getting a nod, so that sounds good. Yeah, so we can go through some of the other rune pages we're kind of loading in and getting ready for it to start. The marksman on the blue side, so that was the Varus, had gone Precision start with a Fleet Footwork, which is the Warlord's replacement.
Yeah.
But now it gives some extra damage on hit as well.
Yep.
So it's still I assume it's still an Energizer rune, so it scales
it's very similar.
rapid fire cannon and whatnot. But move speed, heal, and now a little bit of damage. The damage scales with adaptive attack damage or ability power.
Now in this lane, we'll see Varus with Fleet Footwork, and then he took Resolve as a secondary tree against Callista, who has Press the Attack, which is the much more aggressive stacking AD keystone, and her substyle is Domination. So really we're going to see a much more aggressive all-in focused Callista against a more passive defensive Varus.
Yeah, and that's kind of interesting is you're going to have those secondaries out there as we sort of explain through things. Yeah, apparently...
What's this thing over Cassiopeia's head there?
There's a Warwick in the game.
Yeah.
So she's low enough, that's a Warwick passive.
Right.
That's Warwick.
Sorry, we're using that as the placeholder particle for Predator for a long time.
Oh,
so
right.
No, I looked out.
No, it's fair. I saw it too, and I was that looks like Warwick to me, and I haven't played with that one, so...
Yeah, I was trying to set up a Predator.
Yeah. Unlucky.
Indeed.
Next situation.
I don't know if anybody even has it in this game. Doesn't look like.
No, there's only one person who went Domination. The jungler on the red side actually had went Resolve, so... Our only Domination keystone is Dark Harvest. Alright, well, unfortunately... Okay, let's see if it works again. We're going to try one more time. As we have Kha'Zix jungling, he gets his little Dark Soul. I think it lasts 20 seconds if you pick it up or so?
Yeah,
so
you have 20 seconds to spend it. Oh, the other thing that I didn't mention on Dark Harvest is every time you pick up a soul, you do more damage with the next activation of Dark Harvest.
Yeah.
So literally every soul that you pick up, even if you can't use the proc in time, is not wasted.
Yeah, so it's more like Nasus Qs.
Yeah.
Okay, now everyone's saying fixed, but then some are saying lag, but that's probably a Twitch chat troll, so far people are pretty happy, which seems nice. All right, look at that. Looks like we're doing some wonderful stuff. Everyone is saying good things. So it looks like we've done some fixing. That's wonderful. We already had a first blood. We missed it. That's okay. Again, blame me. We've got, so Varus going very defensive. The Nami's trying to fight. Nami actually herself is running The sorcery keystones summon Airy, so if she heals, they get a shield. If she deals damage, they take more damage.
You can see it slowly moving back towards Nami there. If she
Yeah.
wants to use that keystone again quicker, she can move to it, pick it up.
Yep, you saw right there for a second. And then we have the first gank. Here comes Warwick. And he's running Aftershock, which means if he lands, is it any CC or only hard CC?
Aftershock is hard CC.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Aftershock
so-
is hard
That's
CC.
it. If it immobilizes you, it'll trigger.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, the Aftershock keystone that Warwick is running, both his E and his R will trigger it. Basically, if you hard CC someone, you gain like a bunch of bonus armor MR for a few seconds, and then it explodes out for a bit of damage based on, I want to say, like your health or your armor
Your
MR.
max health.
Yep.
Yeah, based on your max health. So it's
a lot like Leona W.
yeah, I was gonna say it's a little bit like Leona W. The damage is based off your health. So right, if you have reliable hard CC, the cooldown's like 30-ish seconds. It's like roughly a Thunderlord's cooldown, or Electrocute as it's called now. And you know, Warwick can do that pretty reliably. Like he lands the E, Aftershock is probably on, and there's the burst right there. You saw.
Yep.
It looks a little bit like a Ivern shield.
Yeah,
that little
with like the
explosion.
cracks in the ground
Yeah.
and the green.
Yeah. So he didn't end up getting damage out of it because it like the Thresh died too quickly, but that's like the point of that keystone is he adds extra burst damage to his gank, and because he's going in with his E popping, he'll get to use some of those defensive stats to not get hit by everyone else who's not feared. And most of these keystones only work on champions, not all of them, but like Comet I think is champion only,
Yep.
I believe, and Electrocute is champion only, and like press the attack for the extra attack damage is champion only, and but some of them can affect stuff. Like you can stack Dark Harvest on monsters, but I don't believe you get turrets of champions with the damage, I believe. So yeah, Dark Harvest
Oh yeah, Dark Harvest can activate.
hurts turrets, but does not hurt jungle monsters. So it's not a clear speed rune. There are a couple that affect the jungle, but in pretty small ways, from what I remember. Like area works on everything, I think. As far as I remember.
Comet CD should be in the 20-second range.
Yeah, I think it's 20 to 8 based on champion level.
Yeah.
Last I saw the tooltip. Arcane Comet zigs. Oh, he's taking the damages. There's the Comet.
There's Phase Rush activating.
And he's like so dead. Oh, he's not dead. He's almost dead though.
He's almost dead.
Nice roam, Thresh. Way to go. He's killing a ward. Does he have Eyeball Collector? Nope. Nope, he's Resolve Sorcery. So yeah, Thresh went Guardian, which is a right-click your teammate, give him a shield. So Thresh has extra shielding on this one. So his keystone is much more defensive. He could have gone for plenty of other options. Another option, you know, like Thresh actually, because he has auto attacks, like could reasonably go Dark Harvest. Like it's a little troll, but at the same time, like he harasses with autos enough that like it could probably work. Because it does scale off like bonus attack damage and ability power. So, like maybe you kind of want that on a real damage champion, but I can see it on like harass-based supports.
Yeah, I'd mainly just wonder about the amount of power you're giving up in other regards.
Yeah, I know. I'm just like I'm like just trying to think through like are any of these like reasonable choices somewhere else.
That might be.
Yeah.
Having said that, you know, since Dark Harvests are infinitely stacking one,
Yeah,
it's scaling power rather than laning power a lot of the time.
that's also true. You're right.
And I think Thresh especially is
Yeah.
often really going to thrive or struggle based off how his early laning goes.
Yeah, I know we used to see a couple of Threshes go Thunderlords, just like every once in a while in pro games. They would like go for the laning power. So you can see Callisto right there, stacking up all the attack damage. That one's press the attack, I believe.
That's the one.
Yeah. So and then of course it gives her all the attack damage. Then Rend, stacks really nicely. Of course, she already runs the similar keystone in current League of Legends, which is Fervor Battle, but again has a pretty easy replacement.
Yeah, I wonder if we get to see any top lane in the moment.
Ooh, this is Demolish stacking up right now.
Oh, true. So Demolish is a Resolve Mastery. Sorry,
Yeah.
Rune.
Yeah.
I'm sure I'll do that again. That means that after you've been near a tower for about 5 or 6 seconds, your next attack against it will deal a large amount of damage.
It's like 500-ish or something. It's pretty meaningful.
About that. It scales with your max health as well.
Yeah.
So,
So
it's,
Shen's running it, by the way.
Yeah, so it's really good for tanks who want to get a bit more tower pushing or killing power.
Yeah.
It's okay on some of the non-health builders, but
Sure.
it doesn't scale with your attack speed or your AD or anything.
Yeah, it's just if you're under turret for 5 seconds, you're going to do a bunch of damage all at once.
Yep.
So if you're like an auto pushing lane, like if you're going to play Zig's bot, this could be an option where it's like I'm going to auto shove you, like I get under turret, I wait 5 seconds, my auto attack does 500 bonus damage. Okay, now it's in satchel range, I blow up your turret.
Oh, absolutely. The risk is the range you need to stay in is actually pretty short. I think it's about 500, 600 units.
Yeah.
So you are having to stay in there for quite a while. So you're taking quite a bit of risk if you're doing that. It might be worth it,
Sure.
but it's nowhere near as safe as being, say, somebody tanky or somebody with much safer mobility.
Yeah. it feels like an auto include for like Singed. It might not actually be, but it's like it jumps out to you when you're playing Singed. Like, I'm going to push a lot. I don't really care if I'm under your turret. That's fine. I'm safe. I'm a melee frontliner. It's like you probably want to run Aftershock at him as well because you're going to fling and then it sets it up. Right? There's a lot of easy synergies, but that said, there's other options out there, and worth seeing what it ends up being for people on live. But yeah, it tends to be a top lane tank thing where they can actually kill turrets with their lane power.
I'd expect to see it somewhat on some of the jungle tanks as well, actually.
Yeah, gank the lane, now get first turret out of it.
Yeah. By contrast, be surprised if it was, could be wrong, but be surprised if it was too common a pick on some of the other classic split pushes, your Tryndamere or your Jaxes or whatever.
They kill it fast enough anyway.
Exactly. If they're by a tower in melee
Right.
range for 6 seconds, tower's probably gone.
Right, and a lot of those classic split pushers, like I could see them easily going like precision secondary, getting like the tenacity or the attack speed, either one of those through the legend stacking system, and then going for combat power. Yeah, you'd expect anyone whose job is really want to be wanting to opt into exclusively combat power with their rune choices.
Yeah, they want that dueling power so they can push you out of lane and then take the tower as soon as you're gone.
Yep. Looking at
So top lane here, from memory, Shen is running Grasp of the Undying.
yeah,
we're
he
going
is.
to the top lane. But Grasp being very similar to its live version, but as you mentioned earlier, also gives you a small amount of permanent max health increase.
Yep.
Whenever you trigger it.
It was kind of nice.
Yeah.
That got added pretty recently, to my recollection, because it didn't used to be there when I played tested it before.
Yeah, it's been in a couple of weeks.
Okay.
And just think about the contrast there between Na, who's gone for that glacial orb.
Yeah,
purely the CC versus the bit of sustain, bit of damage, bit of scaling that Shen's opted into.
question from Twitch chat: will you be able to see what rune keystone enemies have in champ select and in game?
Yes, you will be, not in Champion Select, but you'll be able to see what keystone they have in-game at loading screen, and you'll also be able to see their secondary style. So you'll get their keystone and then kind of a theme for what their build is,
They were
right?
precision inspiration, and they're running press the attack.
Yeah, yeah. Or you'll see if they have the sub-style resolve and know that they're going to be tankier than normal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In terms of the other runes that they might be running that you might also want to know about, those we want to communicate through other channels, so items in your inventory or things on your buff bar or visual effects attached to your character.
Right.
Rather than just sort of throwing all 60 runes in the game at you on a screen, instead showing them to you in the context where they're really relevant.
Yeah, makes sense. And of course, from what I've seen, there's your own runes are shown to you. There's like a side tab to your character information where it like shows you like all the damage Arcane Comet has done for you this game, or how much attack damage you're getting right now from Perfectionist or whatever else, or your bonus from, it's not Perfectionist anymore, but
Yeah, we're
that kind of stuff.
also playing around with some extra stats in those in the tooltips there, so that we can give you more information to understand like how you're playing, right? So Arcane Comet actually tells you how much damage it's done, how many times it's landed, what percentage of the time it hits.
Right.
In addition to just like the normal like total damage there.
And right now that doesn't persist after the game. It's only in game those stats show up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you remember to check, you're like, oh, I'm only getting like 1/3 of my comments. Turns out Kassadin's Q doesn't slow, and they're dodging it all the time. Maybe I don't want to do this anymore. And you can kind of reliably tell yourself this is not working very well for them.
Yeah.
Or I've chosen futures market and I forgot to use it the entire game.
Yeah.
Which has been a personal experience.
That's fair. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. How will you keep ranged top laners like Gnar, Jace, or Swain from not being super oppressive with Glacial Augment against melees?
The biggest thing there is probably going to be tuning the cooldown on it.
Yeah.
In particular, if it's too frequent in the lane, we'll probably just change that cooldown so it scales down dramatically with character level.
Yeah.
If needs be, we could introduce a range melee split, but
Would like not
would want to discover if we actually need to first before
Right.
pulling
Yeah.
the trigger.
Yep.
Yeah,
And again,
there are a few runes that have ranged melee splits or differences there, and
Yeah.
that's never intended to be a thing where it completely drives ranged champions off the rune. It's just that a number of mechanics have some places where they need to be different, given like the different profiles of ranged and melee characters.
I think Phase Rush has that, for example. It's
Yeah.
like slow resist or something on melee.
Yeah, melees get bonus slow resistance, but the movement speed effect is the same. So yeah, if you're going through your rune pages and you're making selections and you see a range melee split, that doesn't mean that you're supposed to just not take it on range or anything like that.
at League of Legends, the unique specification in Electrocute and Phase Rush. Basically, 3 unique attacks, like 3 autos counts, or auto EE or whatever. Like was the question basically? It's any. If you had to hit the button again, it probably counts.
Yeah, we've actually been talking about renaming that from unique to separate.
Separate is better.
To help people understand, hey, if I
I mean,
spam my E repeatedly, or if I land 3 auto attacks,
Yeah.
is that unique or not?
Right, so that makes sense. So yeah, also there's even special cases for someone like Singed, where it's like every 4 seconds poison trail counts, something like that.
Singed,
I think
Singer's just a weird dude, so we're gonna have to make a few.
it's kind of hard to auto summon 3
Accommodations
times
for
on him. So
Yeah.
but those are somewhat more rare. Although that says though, if they stay in the poison, you trigger Phase Rush. Feels good. Like, that could be pretty fun. I'm looking forward to that. I actually like Singed a lot. It's not a very high kill game. People are running a lot. Oh, he missed the Fierce. He actually missed his Keystone as a result.
Yep.
Then he ulted, so now he has it.
Now he has
and he
it.
flashed away, so he missed the damage.
And he's got the stopwatch from.
Yep.
Whatever.
Still dies.
Well, okay.
Still
That was
does.
his one stopwatch.
So it was almost an outplay, but
Yep.
so assuming he'll upgrade that into Stone Plate later on.
Yeah.
Ziggs,
If he gets the
Ziggs had a
chance.
much better use of stopwatch earlier, where if the bot lane hadn't roamed up for that kill, he probably would have actually traded with Kha'Zix.
Oh, okay. Is there actually a monetary benefit to the stopwatch rune anymore?
It contributes. I think 300 gold right now towards Hourglass.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or
Stone Plate or
sorry,
GA.
Stone Plate.
Yeah, or Stoneplate or GA.
Okay. So there seems to be several free gold runes in Inspiration. There's the Magical Footwear, there's the stopwatch, and then arguably the future market.
Yep.
In a way.
So there's a theme of item and system interactions, or at least economy,
Yeah.
going through there. Somebody asking if Aurelian Soul Stars will count as unique effects for Phase Rush and Electrocute.
Right now, each of Aurelian Soul Stars actually counts as as its own separate spell.
So if I
they just-
smack somebody with a star,
with 3
with 3
stars
stars
over
in
like a
rotation.
second, it'll count.
Yes.
Yeah. Which is the current interaction right now as well. So that won't be any different for Alien Soul players. Someone asked if you can see if the enemy has stasis. Yeah, it's an item in the inventory.
Yep.
So yes, and
Also,
Same way you-
importantly, it's a one-time use stasis, so you'll see a stopwatch in their inventory, and then when they use it, it turns into a broken stopwatch, and it has different item text, different icon, that kind of stuff. So you'll be able to see have they already used it by looking at the tab screen.
yep, so that's definitely going to be there. Someone asked if towers are going to be giving more gold than live servers.
no, but thank you for asking.
Yeah. Someone asked about Lux getting CDR. Says, will Lux that gets 20 CDR from runes have to buy extra CDR that's not as good as her to be relevant? I mean, right now it looks like Runes Reforged only gives you 10, and then you can get another 5 that increases your cap by 5. So you can't get as much CDR as like an optimized page in the old version of the game.
Yeah.
But you can get like a Banshees and a Realnomicon, it's not terrible, or you can go cooldown boots instead of Sork shoes. So yeah, you definitely cannot maximize individual stats as much. It seems like.
Certainly, you're opting into more situational and conditional power.
Yeah.
So how you use that matters a lot more. It's also possible there'll be some cases, maybe Lux and other AP characters or some of them, where people need to tweak some CBR items or something.
Yeah. The other thing is people will find new synergies, right? Like Lux likes heavy CDR pages right now, or may, right? But we have, despite not being able to get 20% CDR out of the new system, Lux can pick up runes like Ultimate Hat and is one of the best users of it, where Ultimate Hat gives you reduced cooldown on your ultimate each time you cast it, and just on your ultimate.
Yeah.
That lets you actually break CDR cap, so Lux can reach a point where you can actually like reasonably ult twice in a team fight after it's fully stacked.
Yeah, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. How does that interact with casting? Has it been good or bad? It's one of the names I've seen thrown around for that.
Right now we're working on it. Like at times he's very good, at times he's not good. We're working on balancing out people with very long cooldowns and people with very short cooldowns, and getting to like a more this is useful on everybody sort of situation with it.
Because the mechanic on Ultimate Hat right now is like, it's like 5% flat, and it's like 3% or something, or 2% or something per cast.
Yeah.
And it requires like 5 or so casts, and it's like if your card hits, it's like 3-minute cooldown. So you're 20 minutes into the game or so before you've actually fully stacked it, whereas it would take a cast it in 12 seconds.
Yeah. The other model that we're exploring is for every X seconds that your ultimate is on cooldown, you get a certain amount of that percentage.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's still wants to
Looking at the game as it goes on here,
Yeah.
We saw a case here where the blue team were pushing up towards the mid tower, started to get demolished stacks building up, and were then forced off actually before they could trigger it.
But yeah, it created like this urgency of like get them off before
Yeah,
the.
exactly, it's a real sort of success-failure moment.
Yeah, that's cool.
The range on Demolish is quite tight. Like tanks or anybody that takes Demolish has to stand quite close to the tower and really be able to control the area around it in order to build those stacks. And as soon as you as the defender can sort of push them back, even to like max tower range, they'll start losing the Demolish stacks.
Yeah. And it's, just to clarify, it's the Thresh on the one side and the Warwick on the other that are running that, or sorry, the Shen on the other that are running it. So those are the ones that you have to actually watch out for. If they start walking up, you'll start seeing those marks. I've actually noticed there is sometimes little like markers on the champions to show their keystones up. Like I've seen the Arcane Comet rotate around Ziggs, for example, to show that he has it available. I like that. I didn't know that was there, but I like it. I just wanted to
We're
point
still
that
working
out.
on polishing all of those little indicators, help you understand what runes your opponents have, and how to use your own ones even.
That's nice.
How do Udyr and Ultimate Hat interact? They don't. Udyr is, I think, the only character in the game that doesn't have a spell that's tagged as Ultimate.
Elise, I mean, if you count Elise and Jace and the other transforms.
Right. The form swappers also don't have ultimates anymore.
Yeah. So yeah, there are much like Cassiopeia can't use boots, which turns off 2 of the runes for her. There's 5-ish champions that really don't want Ultimate Hat, and there's plenty that don't want the mana restore ones. There's I think 2 mana restore ones. There's one in precision and one in sorcery.
So Mana Flow Band actually restores mana or energy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But the Katarinas and Garen still won't use it, but at least Sin might.
Now, Karma, by contrast, I believe, does get benefit.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, Karma does.
Nice. You get a lot of those then. That's actually kind of nice. Because you have like ways to flat reduce the cooldown on Mantra from like hitting Qs and stuff. So actually that might be a really, really good synergy for Karma to go sorcery, at least as a secondary. That's cool. Yeah. As always, some champions will be imbalanced. That's going to happen. Thankfully, it's preseason. Ranked won't matter, more or less, at that point. So there's going to be some crazy synergies, right? Maybe Karma Ultimate Hat is the best champion in the game.
We're going to be doing a number of changes, both on PBE and immediately after release, to like take stock of where the game is, look at people's feedback, address the powerful things that people find if they're out of line, right? Whenever you do a huge game change like this, we expect that there are going to be things that people find that are broken.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, like, we've been working on this for over a year, and people will play more games in the first hour that
you've played all
on
time
live than we
on
played
this.
in the entire time we worked on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we see that with any preseason. But this one especially is bigger than any of the previous ones we've done, so
Yeah.
there'll probably be a bit more messiness, a bit more need for us to
Yeah.
micro-patch a few things after they've gone out.
Definitely agree. I'd expect to see a few out there. Someone asked about a Courage of the Colossus replacement. There's kind of similar ones. There's one where you can give a Courage shield to yourself and a teammate by right-clicking them, and there's one that activates by hard CCing someone that gives you bonus stats for a bit and then releases a shockwave. So there's, if you want a I'm Nautilus and I CC really reliably, there's a keystone that triggers off CCing people, and if you're I want to get shields because I'm a bot lane support, there's one for that as well.
To answer Prospero's question, he says, what are the crystals that appear on the turrets sometimes? That's the Demolish rune that we've been talking about, and you can read about it in the Resolve style.
Yeah, it's a non-keystone resolve rune that basically lets you knock down turrets pretty hard. That's good for tanks to kill turrets off, which is nice.
Another question, what's the secret keystone? Have you guys just not finished developing it? Or is it such a cool and unique rune that you guys want us to wait longer to surprise us? We talked about it a little bit earlier. The short version is it's called Looter, and it's like a Sheen proc that gives you gold and the chance to get an item when you damage a champion. It wasn't quite ready last week when we were building the site, so it'll be on PBE tomorrow, but that's why there was just a coming soon thing up there today.
Yeah, and actually it was interesting, like, I remember, like, seeing the development of, like, okay, what's our new inspiration, like, keystone's going to be? Like, those were in development a lot, because the Ultimate Hat was an inspiration keystone briefly, before it was like, well, there's not a lot of gameplay around it, it should be, like, a regular rune, and it's, like, things coming in and out, and there have been a lot of changes. One thing we haven't talked about yet is the trade in your summoner spells inspiration keystone. I saw so many comments about that online when it came out. Like, initially to me, like, I thought it was going to be really weak, and I know actually one of the design, like, acceptances of the system is, like, not every rune is for every player. Like, not everyone wants to have the, like, X rune, but that's okay as long as someone else really likes it. But like, there's something for everyone. And so, what have you seen so far with Summoner Specialist? If that's still the name.
So now we changed the name, a lot of the names recently. It's called Unsealed Spellbook right now, and it's one of the inspiration keystones. It has, I think it's really cool. It's gone through a number of iterations. It started in a crazy place called Summoner Roulette, where
Oh yeah, you cast when you get a new one at random.
yes,
I was so excited about that. I'm not gonna lie.
That was super love-hate, depending on
fair.
the people involved.
That's fair.
Then it went through a bunch of iterations and ended up with sort of us finding that the core of what that rune was doing was giving you variety in your summoner spells. So right now we're still iterating on a number of incentives to make swapping multiple times better, but basically it gives you a big chunk of reduced summoner cooldown, and then you can swap out your summoner spells at the shop during the game. So we see a lot of people take aggressive summoner spells during lane and then swap to teleport if they're a top laner. Or we see a number of bot laners actually take aggressive summoner spells and then swap into like heal or swap into exhaust for later in the game.
I think it's also fair to say that that's one of the ones that we probably understand less of.
Yes.
In terms of what optimal use of it looks like. So
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, hopefully see a bunch of stuff demonstrated there.
Yeah, and there's of course the easy follow-up question, which is how does it work with Smite? Which my knowledge is you have to start with Smite to be able to use Smite items, but otherwise I guess you can take it or swap off.
Yes. Yes, and that's something that we're going to be keeping a close eye on, both on PvE and on live. Anything related to like giving Smite access to more people is risky, definitely more risky than the other things that the rune does. So we'll be keeping an eye on it. If we start seeing things like 3 Smite teams that just automatically secure, automatically steal objectives, that may be good for the game, that may not be good for the game, and we'll be keeping an eye on that. But right now, we wanted to definitely release things in a way that gives us the option to say, hey, is this cool? Is this good for the game? And then sort of correct back if we need to.
Yeah, and in my mind, like, this is like a very balancing keystone in the first place, because one, you give up a keystone, right? So you don't get your, press the attack or whatever it is. You also give up whatever summoner spell was going to be. So when your top laner has Smite instead of TP, it's like, well, I can out macro you. But yeah, I wonder if like you're gonna have issues where it's like every top lane tank always starts Smites, gets a Cinder Hulk and a Red Smite, and then has teleport, and it's like, great, I'm just the best Dr. Moon the world's ever seen, which is like how I would probably use it, but I'm also not a top laner, so I have no idea if that's actually gonna work.
A few questions from chat.
Yeah.
Somebody asking if we'll ever release more runes, or if what goes out of preseason is that. Long term, we're hoping to release more. We'll put a lot of time at first into getting these ones balanced and probably bug fixed and everything. At some point, we'd love to either add additional runes to some of the existing slots, or maybe someday in the distant future add another tree entirely.
Add a 6th path or something.
Would be fun.
That'd be cool.
Somebody as well asking about whether sudden attack, which gives you, is it
Sudden
damage or
impact.
flat pen?
Sudden impact, I think right now is 5% bonus damage for a few seconds, but we've been talking about turning that into flat pen.
Yep. The question being whether that works on Renka, Leap, from
yes.
Brush or
Probably, yeah.
Yes,
Probably
it
his
does.
Q and his ultimate and his passive.
Yeah, it might even work on the Q, I'm not sure.
His Q is almost definitely a dash. I would expect. But.
Yeah.
Oh, it should be.
Yeah.
Certainly, that should trigger off anything that basically you use to move your champion.
Yeah.
It's not going to trigger if, say, Tristana knocks you back with an ult,
Right, yeah.
but things you're doing. So whether that's a dash, a charge, a leap, a blink, summon a teleport even, I think.
So hey, it's on always if you're casted.
Summer
basically.
teleport and flash.
It's on if you're Vayne all the time. It's on if you're Tryndamere very frequently. It's on if you're Fiora very frequently. But if your only dash is your ultimate, okay, maybe not so much. Like Warwick, okay, his Q would do it, I guess. So it's not too bad. But yeah, you have to think about what your champion does. Udyr would, I guess, Bear Stance would actually do it, as long as you're at long enough range. Long range Bear Stance actually dashes you.
Yes,
So
yes it does.
just thinking of all these options.
Another question, does Overheal only work on people who have the rune equipped, or does something like a Soraka heal also trigger it? So Overheal is the one that gives you a shield if you're getting healed and you're already at max health. So it's based off the target of the heal, not the person doing the healing necessarily. So if I'm Soraka with Overhealing, things that heal me could create a shield, but me healing people without Overheal will not create a shield.
Yeah. And I've noticed from me using the rune, the fountain seems to give it to you as well, as long as you get in a combat, because it decays like a bloodthirster would.
Yeah.
like if you TP in the lane or you home guard in the lane or whatever, like you might have some of that shield still remaining, but for most of the time it seems to fall off if you're just like walking back normally. But sometimes that can have an impact for you. Does the rest of the attack work when you also have Runes, or is it like Vayne W? I would assume it works like Vayne W, where it's the target of your attack.
Yes, it should work totally fine with Hurricane.
Yeah, that's what I assumed. Can you?
It's not going to stack 3 times per attack though.
No.
If you hit an AoE ability on multiple enemies, who does the Comet prioritize? I assume it's player 1.
I believe so.
Yeah.
Assuming they hit it literally at the same time.
Right, yeah. Like if you blow up a Lux E or you Karthus ult in, or you Lux, like there's several AoEs that are instantaneous, but yeah. Do you think these runes will support more unique play styles, and will you support those play styles?
We hope so, and we hope so.
Yeah, basically.
Basically, we'd love to support those playstyles. The main thing is if they just don't have any counterplay, or they're just really terrible for game health. Push entire classes out of the game, or whatever.
Like if 5 Demolish ends up being abusive somehow,
exactly.
right? Like
if the only way to play is run, I doubt it will be, but run Unsealed Spellbook and go 4 or 5 smites. And,
then
just play this really,
But mostly, I mean, like the goal of Runes Reforged has been to open up the game to new play styles and open up the game to more exploration. Yeah. So yes, I certainly hope that we can accomplish that.
Yeah, and in my opinion, coming in, and I've only played, again, about a dozen games. These guys have done much more. Is like you're gonna have a lot of like secondary options, right? Like you keep using Azir as an example. It's like Azir could run Demolish because you push the lane so much that you can reliably get it off and kind of get your old passive back in some ways. Or you might go Precision secondary and get a bunch of attack speed out of Legend Alacrity. Or you might go Domination secondary and get Spell Vamp and stuff like this. And it's like, it's kind of like having a lot of like quintessence options in the old rune system, where it's like, well, there's more than stability power now. There's actually a lot of stuff to do.
Right.
And they're usually gameplay focused. They're not all just stats.
And especially because more of them are situational, or more of them are based on you finding the opportunities to use them and learn to use them well and that kind of thing.
Yep.
There's a lot more opportunity for you to say, hey, this rune matches my playstyle, rather than this rune calculates to more damage. Yeah.
Yeah, instead of like mapping out is attack damage or like lethality better, it's just like, well, no, I can dash at you, or I can do more damage on auto attacks. And, that's cool. Will making these be like rune pages now, or like item sets where I can pre-make them for specific champions, since it seems really complicated to make in champ select? Both is the answer. You can pre-make them, and then you can also edit in champ select.
Yeah. While it all seems sort of very overwhelming right now, we found that over your first couple games, people get very, very fast at making pages. Really, it's like when you think about the fact that you can edit mastery pages right now, you're distributing 30 points for masteries. You're making 6 selections in runes. So like after a short time, once you get to know the system, it should be pretty easy to make pages at champion select.
Yeah, that's also the reason that one of the reasons we're trying to get the stuff out early.
Yeah.
And give people more time to get familiar with it before it all hits.
Yep.
And even then, when it does, we'll have ranked off. It'll be the usual preseason deal.
Yeah. And I mean, it will feel overwhelming. Like, you're making 6 out of 60 choices. Like, that's not easy. Hey, what tree do I go down to? You see your, like, 12 or whatever Keystones options. Well, it's 15, I guess. Yeah. It's like, well, I have to go into Precision to see what the runes even are under Precision. And, like, I remember, like, my first 2 playtests, just, like, sitting there for 20 minutes, just, like... Okay, yeah, Comet looks good for Jinx. Okay, wait, what's in Precision? Okay, yeah, Lifesteal seems good, okay. And then, okay, what's my secondary? I don't know what even is, okay, Health is good in Resolve, I guess. Let's go back to Sorcery. Do I want Hex Drinker? I don't know. It's just like, you're gonna have a lot of that.
Especially when you scroll through a lot of the secondaries and you're like, okay, this is a good combo. What else is, okay, this is also a good combo.
Yeah.
Like,
this is also a good combo. Okay, never mind, guys. This didn't help me any. Yeah, it will take you some time in your first playthroughs. Like, plenty of you will just, use your MOBA Fire guides or whatever and, just like copy, whatever your favorite pro does. And that's fine. Like, there are plenty of players who just like don't want to mess with the system. And like, I understand that. And I think that's completely reasonable. Like, there are automatically generated recommended pages that you literally don't have to touch the system. And you'll have a full rune page when you load in the game. But if you're a super hardcore, I know we're seeing MOBA Fire lol in Twitch chat. You're welcome, guys.
Just to confirm, was that an endorsement?
No, but it is one of the options. I mean, probuilds.net actually, if you like want like an endorsed like, they just rip rune pages from pro gamers, right? Like it's one of the best possible options if you want to copy other people, or just stock your favorite player on OPGG or something. But
there's a question here that should help clarify some stuff for people.
Yeah.
The first NPC is asking, does assist count as takedowns for some runes? Yes. Anytime we say takedowns, we mean kills or assists.
just in a cooler word.
Yeah.
Shorter, too.
True.
Somebody asking, how do the veteran rewards work? We'll be
Hours
talking
played?
about that a bunch more soon, by which I'm partially dodging the question because we're just not the right people to talk about that.
That's fair. I read the FAQ in the website. So
Yeah, I've done that too, but
yeah.
that can
I
speak better
mean,
than we can.
my understanding is at some point they get released. I don't know when that is. Probably preseason. I don't know exactly, but that'd be my guess. And it's based on hours/played, which I assume is in game, not just idle on the client. And it's like at 500, 1500, and 2500, something like that, hours played, and
I think so.
a different icon or is there an emote for each one?
Again, I think
roughly.
so, but we're in
Right.
the gameplay side, so it's
right. I know, but that's the answer that's on the website. It's the best that I can or we can give you,
absolutely.
and that's what we got for you. Our one of our helpers working on a precise answer or getting a precise answer, and then put in a smiley face afterwards. So you're getting that soon. Don't worry about it.
why is the Hex Drinker rune, Nullifying Orb, only a magic damage shield? So why does it work against LeBlanc but not against Talon, for example?
So part of that is basically allowing it to work very similarly to Hex Drinker, lets us piggyback on sort of existing things that people know. And then the other part is just making things situational, right? There are responses to physical damage in the system, right? You can pick up armor at various places. Yeah, the Hourglass exists specifically as, Stopwatch exists and is particularly good against assassins. Providing something like Nullifying Orb that says, hey, here's a response to this particular type of damage, helps us make it more powerful in those situations by not making it trigger off of everything.
Another question, what patch is preseason?
22?
722 is the plan. So that'll
November
be
8th.
November the 8th?
Yep, that's what's on the website.
Cool.
Plans could change, of course, because developing things is hard. I wouldn't know. I don't have to do any of that. I have the easiest job by hitting deadlines. But yeah, the target November 8th, which is 722.
Yep, so that'll be just after Ranked gets turned off a day or two before. And
Just
I
after
think
Worlds.
shortly after World Finals.
Yep. Which also tune in for, by the way. If you haven't been watching Worlds resumes in 8.5 hours. So stay tuned. As I plug the other stream that I'm a part of.
Never change.
Yeah, it's great. I was here like 9 hours ago, like watching the games, and I'm like getting as much sleep as I could, then coming back up. So
Nice.
I do love League of Legends though. What about the Biscuit Triumph combo on a tank? It's a potential of 29% max health heal. How is that being balanced? I forgot how Triumph works, but Biscuit
Triumph
is you get 4 biscuits.
Is it Dangerous Game, whatever it's called on?
Yeah, Triumph.
Live?
Triumph is the
Restore
you heal
the precision,
for
yeah.
15% of your missing health after you get a takedown. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Biscuit is a limited use consumable. It'll give you, is it
You get, like,
10%?
Yeah, about 10% missing health every...
Or 14% possibly, depending on what numbers were in there that I've already forgotten.
Yeah.
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 You get like 1 every 4 minutes for the first
So
12 or
it's
something.
possible those exact numbers aren't all right.
Sure.
So they've seemed reasonable in testing so far. Yeah, we haven't seen tanks with Triumph and or Biscuit run away with it and become immortal.
Right.
But every single number that's on the website or on the PBE tomorrow is work in progress. We're still balancing. We're still changing this stuff.
And it also means as a tank you have to go Inspiration Precision.
Yep.
Which like
Yeah, giving up
doesn't
on
give you a lot of things you want as a tank. Like there's Tenacity, which is okay, and then it's like, okay, the missing health heal is like reasonable. So there's your Precision secondary, and then it's like, okay, yeah, if you really want Summoner Specialist or Open Spellbook or whatever, it's like, okay, if you really want Stopwatch, I guess is okay, like because you're gonna go Stone Plate. Like,
Maybe do it on some fighters rather than tanks.
I think
If
the
you can go
big
Precision Primer and some of them.
the big thing is there's opportunity costs
Yeah.
to all of your selections, right? And if you're saying, hey, this combination of runes is really strong, you're ignoring that there may be a more natural combination of other runes that is also really strong for your champion.
Yep.
And basically picking around that, right? So like, given this tank build that would be Triumph and Biscuits is Precision Inspiration, they're dodging a lot of the natural resists that come from Resolve and a lot of the health that comes from Resolve. So you're talking about a tank that is recovering a ton of health every time they get a takedown, but is also naturally squishier.
Yep.
So we've got about 30 minutes left at this point. I think we'll mainly just be answering questions, but if there are any particular parts of the game we played before that you want to see again or want us to talk about, sing out in chat.
Yeah, people asking about like things like the Evelyn rework, which is totally not the point of the stream.
Yep,
so that's
not the place to talk to about it.
Confirmed, we are reworking Evelyn.
Yeah, that's true. That's been teased. Someone asks about how does the debt work in the future market. The amount of debt you can go into scales the game time. It's like 5 or so gold per minute, or something like that, or 5 or 25 or 50 or
starts.
It's like 150 plus 5 per minute or something like that. So you can go X hundreds of gold into debt. Say 300 gold into debt. And then you pay back a 50 gold lending fee out of your ambient gold income, more or less. Right. So you'll be 300 gold short of Infinity Edge. You'll buy it. You go to negative 350, and then you just go up to 0 and then scale up as normal, right? And so you bought your Infinity Edge a minute early, and maybe that won you a team fight, so the kill literally paid for itself. That's possible. Or you ended up just farming for 4 minutes, and you're like, well, I'm sure glad I went into debt right now, and that's just the choice you make. But sometimes it means you bought your Sightstone a wave early. Like there might be like really compelling item timings that getting to get level 3 Moby boots on Alistair and roaming mid is super worth it every time.
Or the chance to get that wrong is actually something we wanted to get out of the rune system.
Yeah, and it's an inspiration.
This update that we wanted runes you engaged with more, that you thought about a bit more.
Yeah,
which meant that there had to be ways to use them right.
Yeah,
which also then means there has to be ways to use them wrong. So. Sometimes you may make a bad choice, and hopefully we can give you enough information to assess that.
Yeah.
Another question. Phreak said earlier that Press the Attack was adaptive, but the website says AD. Is Phreak a big fat phony?
I might be, although I remember reading the tooltip at some point in playtest that said adaptive. So I might just be wrong, but I could have sworn it said adaptive.
Pretty sure we had adaptive at one point, but
is it gone?
I think right now on the website at least it may say AD. I think we've been looking at versions that are adaptive. I think it's fairly comfortable. I'm fairly comfortable saying like believe that it's AD for now, and you will know, and it'll be updated on the website and stuff like that if our experimentations with making it adaptive prove useful.
So still figuring it out.
Yeah, hope it's good because it looks compelling for like on hit AP characters. I'm hoping.
Okay, somebody else asking, will Mana Flow ban overlap with Lyssandra's passive? I don't know if we've checked that particular case, but what should happen is a single spellcast does not consume both of them.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that you don't waste one of them.
Yeah, ideally. Any particular reason for removing the major minor rune designation? Someone else had kind of appreciated the tiers of runes.
Yeah. So I think Fearless mentioned that in his last dev blog, and it goes into a bit more context than I'll be able to here. But essentially, the major minor runes, right, they had this implication of power that we actually didn't want to have in the system, right? Where people felt like major runes were stronger or should be stronger, or you have to take it, or when I'm when I'm taking my secondary path, should I always take the major rune and then one of the minors, right?
I definitely had that thought when I was doing it.
Exactly. And we just didn't feel like that was useful, because a lot of the ways that splashing and how you consider your choices are built around is that really you're taking 2 of the 9 options, and you should consider all 9. Yeah.
Actually, I mean all 36. Like, to be completely honest, right? You're like, you pick your primary path and you pick 2 of 36 runes. They just have to both be from the same path and not be on the same row.
Yeah.
And have fun, right? But those are your options, right? Like, yeah, you pick 1 of 36, and then you choose from that point 1 of the 6 that are then available to you after that point. So there's the permutations are quite high. So yeah.
A question here about a rune we haven't talked about at all. Can you explain Minion Dematerializer? It seemed like one of the runes with the least obvious reasons to take.
Yeah.
Kassadin, I did that.
Let's talk about what it is.
Okay, sure.
So Minion Dematerializer, it gives you a stack of minion bombs that you can use, and you just like hit they're active items. You just hit the button on a minion, and the minion like zoops up into nothingness, right? And then you get the gold for it, and you do bonus damage forever afterwards to that type of minion. And what what this rune is really meant
Never
for.
miss a cannon minion again.
Yeah, so you can
Primarily.
so basically you can use it to guarantee that you hit you get the gold from the first 6 cannon minions, right? You can also use it. We saw there's a lot of characters that run very, very specific rune pages to hit wave clear thresholds. There's like a popular Echo build, for example, that runs a super specific number of AP blues, so that at level 7 or 9 he's able to clear the caster minions with 1 Q, and some of those optimizations in Runes and Masteries are actually cool, and they're very important for the champions they're for. So adding this rune in let us say, hey, instead of actually just being able to like gamble on, I'll take this number of AP blues and then hope to God that I'm on power curve, and I don't fall under and I miss that threshold anyway, right? This actually lets you take your minion bombs and use those to customize your ability to wave clear particular minions, so that if you're right on the edge of one of those thresholds, you can make sure that you're wave clearing how you expected to.
Yeah. And if you're just playing Kassadin and your laning phase sucks, it's like, well, at least I get the cannon minions.
Yeah.
So it's just a free wave clear for everybody? Or?
Need 6 free CS, right?
Yeah, it's 6 free CS and I guess a percentage amp on wave clear, and you take it in inspiration. So
so it's the cost of taking inspiration.
Yeah.
And
so you're taking it instead of something that would give you combat power, or something that would give you sustain or defenses.
Do you remember what row it's on? Is it like against Stopwatch and Debt, or is it against like Boots? I'm trying to remember, which I know is like a little bit of a useless question, but the like very direct opportunity cost is that you can't do the other 2 things on whatever row it's on, which I forget, but is other interesting fun
pretty sure
things.
it's Boots and... sorry, we swapped some of those around recently.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know either because I haven't playtested in a couple of weeks.
Yeah,
so
I think
wouldn't know.
I'm fairly sure that it's against Boots and the other one in that row, which is not helpful.
Thank you. There are in fact 3 in that
I think
row.
it's Boots and Dead, because I'm pretty sure the slot above is Channel Blink or Hex Blink or whatever we ended up calling it.
Hextech
Channel
Flash
Hex Flash,
Traction.
that's right.
Yeah.
The Stopwatch and Biscuits.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the other rows. Someone asked about auto attack modifiers like Gangplank Q and Ezreal Q. Are those going to work with Press the Attack, which is the Fervor replacement?
Yes, they will.
Okay, great.
They'll also work with Looter, the coming soon inspiration one.
Oh, we've also done a change on some of those abilities on Ezreal and Gangplank as well, where we're also considering those spells now. So,
Ooh, okay.
so like if you were running Ezreal and you're interested in picking up Comet, which used to be a really poor idea because your Q was an attack, not a spell.
Yeah.
Now Ezreal's Q is an attack and a spell. So you'll be able to use Comet. Gangplank will be able to use Comet. A lot of those spell interactions will just work much more fluidly on those characters now.
That's really cool.
Remember, we've got a few abilities in the game that already work like that. I think Twisted Fates...
Twisted Fate W probably works that way.
Yep.
And I believe Mordekai's a Q.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
being a bit more
certain.
consistent about
I think Fizz Q as well.
Yeah,
This
absolutely.
Q might actually be a spell too, yeah, you're right.
I believe it does both.
Okay, so there's a very long one from Ridley Prime. Who says, I have some Riot reps at my school right now, and they say a lot of design choices are influenced by anime. Given the pictures of the 2 weebiest league girls behind you, do you have any comment on this? Also, we're apparently supposed to acknowledge that we are weebs live, although I personally am not.
I'm not.
Got a bunch of people that love anime at Riot. I certainly think that's reflected in some of the champions we make.
Sure.
But also got a bunch of folks with pretty different tastes, so you get a range of stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, I think something that is great about the League of Legends IP and just like the diversity of people at the company and particularly the diversity in game designers and tastes and stuff is that you get a number of people that like anime, you get a number of people that don't like anime and have different tastes, and all of that kind of gets represented in the game so people can find the things that are compelling to them.
Does Targon's or Relic Shield in that line work with Minion Dematerializer? I'm assuming yes, but...
I'd assume no, because it's true damage.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, but if you get the kill, does it share the gold?
Oh, yes,
Oh,
it does.
yes.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not like doing X.
sorry.
Oh yeah, so Materializer like does a fixed amount of damage. It's not just like instant kill the minion. It's like do X damage to the minion.
No,
right?
it kills the
So it does
minion.
kill it. Okay,
Yeah.
so it will work with.
I was actually thinking
But it'll send the bonus gold to the...
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, it'll
okay.
trigger the proc and do the...
Okay, so we're good.
Is there a change to gold generation as a support? You lose a lot because there won't be any rune like Bandit. So we're currently trying having something like the Bandit passive on all of the support items. So you'll still get those effects. That's still experimental. We'll see if that sticks, or if we should find some other way to adjust for that gold.
Yep. Press the Attack does in fact stack infinitely. it does. Actually, do you know if like a Lowie's spirit thing counts as a champion? Like when you're hitting it, I would assume like her when she E and does test spirit.
It certainly should. So
Yeah.
if
Yes.
it doesn't, we'll fix that.
Yeah.
So it does count as a champion. What is important about press the attack is you lose a certain number of stacks. It used to be half. It may be 3 on the website. We've been playing with that number.
Okay.
You lose a certain number of stacks whenever you swap targets.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't just like ramp it up infinitely on somebody like a Cho'Gath and then carry that over and like one-shot their mid laner.
Sure.
Yeah.
Question, how does Comet interact with displacement abilities like Talia W? It will trigger off that ability that's displacing somebody, so there are some cases where you really don't want to be using Comet.
Buster shot will always miss. Like if you
Yeah.
Tristana R someone, you
Yeah.
should never run Comet.
Or you should just use your E first.
Well, yeah, like make the E blow up first and then do
Yeah.
it. So yeah, you can screw your own keystones. Be aware. It's worth knowing. Let's see. I'm looking for the next question that I actually like. If I'm not reading a question, it means I hate you. You're welcome. Let's see. Will Minion Materializer work on super minions? Probably, but you're keeping a consumable in your inventory for 30 minutes, so probably not great. Because you get like a stack of 6 when the start of the game, and then they're just gone when you use them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
You can use them on supers though, if you do want to hold them for that long.
if like I'm gonna rely on my inhibitor being dead.
Keep an inventory slot open.
Yeah. Also, I'm gonna
give up
inventory.
damage to minions throughout the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it's...
It's definitely a terrible idea.
Yeah, I feel like...
But like it feels
I mean,
really cool.
you're welcome to, but...
Yeah.
There's
let's scroll
a
into
question that's just being pasted in that is, how has Hextech Flash worked in, can you scroll down?
Playtest and big users so far.
Great, there we go. Cool, that one's really interesting. This is one of the ones that I'm really excited to see on PvE because it is fairly tricky for people to pick up, and I know that people are going to find just much more creative uses with it than we've found so far. Right now, the best users that we've seen of Hex Flash are immobile junglers that use it to gain access to some of the gank routes that junglers that can jump walls have access to. So like Skarner being able to jump over the wall from Baron Pit, gank you through Tri-Brush or something like that. Or sorry, yeah.
Yeah. If like a blast comes down.
I'm actually going to have to disagree with you on that one.
Okay.
I actually think it's some of the tankier or initiating supports in bot lane that get the best use out of this. The Leona or the Alistair, who's got brush control down there,
Yep.
can channel light.
Shows up 400 range in the
exactly.
future.
So, can threaten to just appear on you, Q you or
Yeah.
no, actually, I guess it's Q for either.
Yeah, sure.
Basically lock you down, get a really strong initiation off that.
But yeah,
I
use-
think some of the jungle users are decent, but
Yeah.
a lot of them either have mobility or can use blast cones already.
Yeah.
So that's the one for me.
That's cool.
But definitely you guys can take that as sort of the like, those are the obvious learnings and go find what is totally broken with it.
Yeah, and the channel breaks in combat. It's still a shorter channel than like recalls. Like if you end up getting caught and you're like, maybe I can get over the dragon wall. And if they don't see you, you can get over in time and like almost use it like in combat theoretically. Does phase rush work with spells you recast like a Nivea Q? Probably. Q1, Q2 on the back half of it when you explode it.
Ooh, I need to check how Nivea Q was set up.
Yeah,
to
I would guess that they're counted as different spells, different like triggers of a different spell.
I suspect so. But
Yes,
Yeah.
I would imagine.
But I'm not sure. Yeah, some of these are not super tested out. Someone made a great, wonderful comment that was super wrong. He's like, I like showcases like this where people would be unemployed if they see something bad about the game, and so everything's great. It's like, well, I mean, that's silly.
I mean,
You don't,
let's
you
be
don't
fair.
develop a game without disagreeing with
Yep.
stuff and
And
fixing
a
things.
game has a lot of problems and challenges we're working
Sure.
on. Certainly wouldn't try and claim otherwise.
Yeah.
I hope we can do a good job on getting that stuff fixed or at
Yeah.
least improved. But
Yeah.
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 All right, Twitch chat, how do you feel about that? Would I be fired if I said a rune sucked? I actually said
Wait,
that
which rune?
Huh?
Which rune?
Oh, yeah.
Come on.
Which ones have you designed so that I can just not pick those?
Literally none of them.
Okay, great. They all suck, so I'm safe. We're good. All right. Ziggs is an inferior champion.
Like I haven't heard that before.
Yeah, I know. I'm just like thinking of things you've made. No, yeah, we're good. What about lethality? I've seen that question a couple of times. I mean, lethality still exists in items, but basically because no one has armor seals anymore, you turn out you're actually pretty good.
Yep.
Generally speaking,
No,
without lethality.
we
so-
don't have any lethality or flat pen offered in the system at the moment.
Yeah.
We've been talking about changing sudden impact over to offering
Yeah.
Lethality / flat magic pen. I suspect that'll test pretty well. It's possible we might also get one other rune in there that offers some, we'll see. Question, there are junglers that need runes for the first clear. Will they have any help? Yes, they will. We're going to be giving all champions some base stats, and we're also going to be tweaking a few jungle camps. So clearing in the jungle should generally feel about as difficult or as achievable as it does today.
On top of that, junglers have specific changes on their jungle items that will be increasing some of the PvE power they would have taken before from runes.
Actually, as a curiosity, are you balancing around, because like generic jungler, like gold 4 jungler is going to run armor seals. Like everyone who's like diamond or higher is running skilling health seals. Like do you balance around, like which one do you like balance around or target toward? Because like better players would take greedier rune pages because they're better at clearing the jungle.
We're generally trying to balance around optimal.
Okay.
But at the same time, we also want to help people get to at least a reasonable level of success. So it's a trade-off of balancing for optimal, but still keeping things accessible enough.
Yeah.
We're also sort of relying on that, right? We can provide a lot of early game defenses that help junglers that are really unsafe, or junglers that get low in the jungle, or just people that don't optimize the jungle as well, right? Because we know that as soon as you don't need that extra durability, junglers love to greed into more aggressive options or into scaling options. So we end up being able to sort of like offer more power than we first thought, because people transfer off them as soon as they've optimized it.
Cool.
Any insight into items that will be gutted or removed at preseason start? We're not going to be making major item changes. I'm sure we'll end up tweaking a few either in response to the state of balance or to solve particular problems, but we're not doing any major item overhauls here.
And just a reminder for anyone who's tuned into the stream more recently, PvE signups will be opening again in October. So if you are one of the lucky, I don't know how many, I literally have no idea, lucky X number, you get to play them live. These will be going into the next PvE update, which would be the 7.20, I guess, PvE update, which is coming
Also
up
known as tomorrow.
Yeah,
Yeah, also known as tomorrow. They're actually going live for everyone on 7/22, which is going to be November 8th. So those are your sort of 2 windows. And if you didn't get picked for PvE, have fun watching YouTube and Twitch and everyone else who's actually playing with them and you can't. It'll be like when the Switch came out. You can watch other people play with them.
Question, what day of October? I don't think we know yet.
Not sure.
I'm sure somebody will write does, but these 3 of us are not sure of that.
What's the question?
What day in October? Do
Oh,
PvE
yeah,
signups?
no idea. I was just told the month.
Yep. Somebody asking about whether you can get spell vamp from runes. You can, through the domination tree at present.
Yeah.
One of the bounty hunter variants offers that.
1.5% plus 1.5% per takedown or something like that, roughly.
Yeah.
So up to whatever that is, 9% or something, or the numbers will obviously probably change over the course of time, but yeah, you can have some spell vamp for people who use a lot of spells. So it's my first thought for like an Azir page, if you can just like permanently vamp forever. There's also a rune that like if you hit someone who is slowed, you do like true damage to them, which means Azir Q probably like auto triggers that, which also seems really good. So like
It's good. It's got a short cooldown though. So
yeah, it's like
shouldn't be insane.
8-ish seconds. It's pretty nice. Yeah, dog. What else we got going on here? People are asking questions to people who aren't us. How dare you? Yeah, so I had seen a couple people talk about movement speed runes before. You can get 3% as just a passive, and then it converts more move speed into AD or AP. And then there's also like one that's like move speed in the river, and there's an out of combat move speed one as well if you get kills and assists.
Move speed towards enemies you CC.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, and is that counts slows, right? So like if you singe W someone, you put goop on them, you get some move speed, or if you land a Vel'Koz Q, you get some move speed. So there's lots of ways to find move speed. You just have to sometimes do cute things around them. How many rune pages will we have? Just the same as now? I don't actually know if like you can unlock more afterwards if they're...
I believe it should be the same.
Okay.
You'll also have all those default pages as well.
Right, yeah, there's 5 unwavering default pages that everyone's just gonna have. If you never unlocked a rune page on your account, you have the 2 that comes with a League of Legends account. If you unlocked rune pages with IP or RP, you'll have those as well. And then I'm assuming based on your answer that you can continue to spend IP or RP to unlock them, or Blue Essence and RP.
And you'll have those 5 pages in addition to all of those. Of
Right,
course.
right, yeah.
Those don't take up your slots.
Yeah, you're right. They don't take up anything. Those are for free and off on the side, or up in your face regardless.
From Icy Cold Stare,
Yeah.
familiar name. What would you say has been the hardest part about creating the new runes system? Oh,
I mean, there's sort of an obvious answer, which is just like, it's a ton of content, right? You're trying to make 60 things that are hitting sort of league quality gameplay interaction, right? And we don't want to make runes that cheapen the game or cheapen your ability to master it. So we want to build things that have strong play for you as the user and for the opponent, and have the right degree of how much you think about them, and are things that you can master, but not so much they're totally overtaking your champion kit. And then, finding 60 things like that drop into those buckets was really challenging. Of the ones that we have, we hope that many of them are in that sort of like good spot, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we're gonna have to keep working on them for sure in order to continue refining a number of them. So yeah.
I think finding a good midpoint in there as well between people that want to put an enormous amount of attention on their runes and people who want to select them and then have them just be a supporting element while they focus on the rest of the game.
Yep.
I think has also been a good challenge.
And I think there is the right balance. Actually, no, this is we had done a lot of player labs, and hey, we're gonna bring you 10 people in, play with new runes, tell me how you feel about it. And a lot of the early feedback on some of the earlier versions of this was I just want stats. Can I just not think about my rune pages? And so over time, a few more of those seem to be added where you got to be a little bit. You didn't have to play around them if you didn't want to.
We wanted to give you options,
right? Yeah. And so that's kind of nice. A lot of them can be passive triggers, or just you think about it in champ select, Nullifier, which is the Hexdrinker shields. You think about it, but then, I mean, you don't have to do anything to make it work. You just don't die to LeBlanc.
You can play around its cooldown a little bit. But
yeah.
I mean, you don't have to.
There is some gameplay, right? And if you're super hardcore, then you're yes, I'm bringing it, and I'm going to go for the all-in at level 3 because I know I won't die to her E. When it triggers her Malice or whatever. There came in that stuff, or you can just be yeah, they have AP. I'll just pick this, and it's okay. It's still going to do its job, to a certain degree. So I think a good balance was struck.
Those player labs you mentioned were actually incredibly helpful in developing the rune system.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
We did them with both regular players randomly randomly selected, with a bunch of the pros and streamers, and in a range of countries as well to a bigger degree than we've been able to do for past projects. So.
Yeah. Rocks Tigers, something was one of the teams. This is nerfed Rocks Tigers with their 10th place lineup, but it was a couple of LCK teams.
Ago,
but I remember reading those reports. It was a couple of LCK teams and stuff had come over and they given their feedback. It was interesting. For the Koreans, most of their responses were just I'm worried about balance, but they were just generally happy with oh, these are cool ideas. So
yeah, I mean we got some great feedback from them though. And, I mean, thanks again to everybody that took part in those.
Yeah, absolutely. It was really huge, especially getting just a range, right? Everything from pros to inexperienced players, and sort of every elo band in between was really, really nice for seeing where do people agree, where do they have different thoughts, what does everybody think about stuff, and then we would take that information, go work on it, change some of our ideas, how we're thinking about runes design.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, preemptive thanks to all of you, by the way, because I'm sure there will be a million posts and tweets and threads and everything else about, what you guys think about it, what you want to see, and again, these guys are committing to, I'm not doing anything, but these guys are committing to lots of iteration to make stuff
You're going to read
good.
them all for us, right?
Huh?
You're going to read them all.
Oh, yeah, I will just...
Literally every
I will print out the Reddit thread and just hand it to you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I got you. And then I'll just provide you some orange upvote arrows so that your posts can go higher.
So we're pretty much out of time. Just to touch on a couple of final questions. All of the runes available from account level 1.
Yep.
They are. You won't be able to customize. You'll have a full set of runes from level 1.
And they're free.
And they're free. You won't be able to customize them for a few levels while we teach you the basics of the game, but certainly don't have to wait until 30.
Yep. And you can pick among the 60, pick 7 or 6 of 60. And go rock, have fun. The system will be live with the preseason update on November 8th. The PBE update will have them tomorrow. PBE signups will be open at some point in October, date TBD, but it's not October yet, so no rush anyway. Please tell us what you think, what you want to see better, what is perfect.
Yes.
That is almost always me as perfect. Everything else can be improved. Again, thank you. You guys are wonderful. We do this because we love you. You're all wonderful e-gamers, and we'll see you in the LCS. World starts in 8 hours. Tune in for that as well. buy Teemo skins, and that'll do it.
Yeah. Thank you all.
Cool. Thank you very much.
Bye.